Can you believe it? Here we are, April 13th, 2023. And you know what that means? It's another episode of your favorite podcast, the podcast for you, the Creator Within. A little podcast we like to call Create or Die. And this, my friends, is your host, Ike Allred. Are you ready for it? Because it's going to be good. So today, we've got us a special guest, and I can't wait to tell you all about him and for you to get to meet him virtually through the wonderful world of communications technology. But before we get into our special top secret guest, I want to tell you about some stuff that's been going on. You know, a little segment before the podcast, if you will. So the wife and I, we're getting ready for our first business trip. That's right, this weekend we're heading off to Vegas for the National Audio and Broadcasting Conference, NAB. It's the 100th, the centennial celebration. I can't believe that they've been doing it for that long. But we're hoping to run into some friends, some creative friends from Cinema 4D, ZBrush, Adobe, who knows? But yeah, I'll be recording next week's episode from Las Vegas, so get ready for that. And in preparation for that, I wanted to do some kind of leave behind as I met with these various people who I expect to meet on this trip. Rather than just handing them a business card, I wanted to do something that maybe they'd hesitate to throw away. Something that, dare I say, they might actually want to keep. Now, if you're watching the video version of this, I'm gonna show it to you on camera. Ready? This is the first look at the official Create or Die embroidered patch. Limited edition, 100 of these bad boys made. They're iron-on and they're magnificent. So if you want one of these, it's easy. Just tell your friends about this podcast and maybe even reach out to me about being a guest on the show. And you'll earn yourself one of these patches. No, seriously, just reach out, tell me you want one, and we'll make it happen. But like I said, only while supplies last. So I'll be taking probably 50 of them with me to NAB, and then I'm going to use like 10 of them myself to put on things. So we're talking 30, 40 after giving a few to family that'll be left for you, the tried and true podcast listeners. So, yes, act fast. So, that took way too long. I apologize. But in addition to that exciting news about our traveling for the show and representing at NAB, in addition to that, I made some changes to the website, to the store, createordie.net. Head on over there. We got some new swag items for purchase, so if you want to support our program, that's another way to do it. And you'll notice in this episode, we're going to have, you're probably already hearing it, some new background audio. You can thank my boy Tom Cattell for that, supplying us with the excellent tunes, helping to take this to a whole nother level. Okay, without further ado, it's time. My special guest for today, Mr. Andrew Garlock. Now, Andrew is a brand marketing professional in general who works at the intersection of business, data, and design. With over 15 years of experience in both in-house and agency management, he has a unique perspective on the importance of crafting compelling brand experiences that resonate with consumers. As the Director of Engagement at Enlisted Design, Andrew looks for new and innovative ways to connect with clients and build lasting relationships through services of brand strategy, visual design, industrial design, and user experience. Now get this, he also sits on the AIGA board, expanding opportunities through chapter programs and initiatives. And he's an all-around cool guy. And so I hope you enjoy this chat as much as I enjoyed it. Let's do this. Andrew, again, thanks for joining me and accepting the invite. I'm excited to learn more about you. Now currently, you're at Enlisted. And if I've got my research correct, you're Director of Engagement. Tell me a little bit more about what that is and how it relates to design.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like, wait a sec. So I thought this guy was like a designer, but his role is sounds a little bit businessy like. So yeah, and that's so my current role at Enlist is really onboarding new clients. And we're fortunate to partner with some of the coolest brands like Allbirds, Dance, and Mr. Beast. If you're familiar,
Sure, you bet.
I don't know if I was super familiar with my kids. I mean, that's like all they watch, like my 9 and 12-year-old. So I kind of, I guess like from an early age, like really just have been into design and art culture and have stayed pretty close to that industry, and have primarily kind of been on the management, like operations side, through my kind of professional career. Yeah. But just to give you kind of a little bit of background, I grew up in Southern California and was really into like punk music, surf, car culture. Moved to Laguna Beach when I was a freshman in high school. It's like a super hippie artist community, or that's kind of the genesis of that city before MTV came in, and but it's home of the pageant of the Masters, where they recreate like full-size depictions of classical and contemporary paintings, where it's like art literally comes to life with like real people posing to look exactly like their counterparts in like original pieces of art. And they use like, makeup, costumes, set design, lighting to like, it's pretty impactful. And so art is like so much a part of the DNA of Laguna Beach. Our high school mascot was the artist. So imagine like, you have like a football team coming to play, and it's, you're playing the artist.
Yeah.
It's very, not what you would imagine, but then our kind of neighboring high schools were the Dolphins and the Sailors. Okay. So, you're not getting like the Titans and the Eagles. And, I mean, you get those a little bit further away, but, so as a student there, I was required, as all of us were, to take a certain number of art-related classes. And it's like, hey, that's cool. Sure. Digging that curriculum. So from like graphic design and photography to ceramics and dance, they really had a lot to offer. And then from there, I found the advertising program while I was at BYU, which is part of the College of Fine Arts and Communications. And that's where I really found like my people. I was like, okay, like these are kind of the misfits, like kind of the, the square peg round hole, but people that, wanted to make an impact, wanted to do something different, not just kind of, just go through the motions and get through school, but actually like apply their craft to do something. And I worked in the ad lab, which is one of the only few university-sponsored advertising agencies in the world. And we got to work with brands like Honda and Nike and L'Oreal. And ad lab alums have gone on to create like some of the most prolific marketing campaigns of today. Like Old Spice is the man your man could smell like, which you probably remember, like guy on a horse, I'm on a horse. Like super quotable lines, like of pop culture today. And that like increased sales by 60%, like from the year previous.
So,
insane.
Ad Lab, is that just a thing at BYU, or is it a multi-college group?
So the Ad Lab is just at BYU. There are a handful of colleges that have a kind of student-led, student-run advertising agency within their communications department, and those kind of are referred to. They have kind of different names and such, but Ad Lab is BYU's version of that. And then one of my buddies, he went on to be part of creating the Allstate Mayhem commercials, which are still running like over a decade later. So just it was an amazing kind of sandbox to just explore, to get really good experience with brands, top tier brands, and then be able to get placed in agencies working with actual budgets and being able to do some cool things. So that's kind of a little bit of the background. And then what I'm doing here at Enlisted, and what I have been doing is more kind of been on the management, strategy, creative operations, but have like just always wanted to stay like as close to design and creativity as possible. Like it's just I realized that there are hands that can create the work better than I can, but I like to be involved in the process and be able to celebrate and be able to bring on more of that and keep our teams stoked on what they're working on every day. So what gets us really excited is going into markets and categories that are unloved. And that's something like we talk about at Enlisted, like salt, for example. Like, I mean, how boring is that one? So Diamond Crystal approached us last year, and I honestly wasn't familiar. I mean, Morton and Salt is probably the only one I'm really familiar with. But it's the brand that top chefs around the world only use for cooking. It's like the creme de la creme. They won't touch anything else besides kosher, Diamond Crystal kosher, sea salt, and pink Himalayan.
Love it.
And so they were wanting to enter more of a consumer, a position to be more of a consumer brand rather than just kind of B2B kind of restaurant, a restaurant kind of sourced product, you get through Cisco distribution and things like that.
Well, they got to go currently with Morton then, essentially.
Exactly. And so they were in some retail, but they were on the bottom shelf. Just didn't really have much presence and much awareness. And we took them to eye level in retail through new packaging, redesign, new brand identity development, and maintaining a lot of the like brand equity and heritage that Diamond Crystal had. It was a red box. It had kind of a diamond or V shape to it. And so it's like, how do we not ignore those things that have made, Diamond Crystal, who they are and what people know them by, how do we kind of infuse that, but make it feel, make it feel modern, make it feel fresh, and make it feel authentic, not being, a brand that is hot today and, gone tomorrow, type of thing. So my role is really like, what I really enjoy doing is like listening and understanding the challenges and the business goals and objectives that these clients are looking to accomplish, and then like helping craft the program that can take the brand there. Like, what's the right team that we can put on this? What are the types of services? Like, sometimes they come looking for, looking for something that we can see so many other, weeds in the way that they aren't seeing. They're asking for maybe like some social media assets. And we don't do a ton of like marketing stuff. We really kind of do the brand development. And then, we'll be like, well, great, marketing assets, fantastic. But have you looked at your brand first? Like, logo type, logo mark, color palette, like illustration style, photography style, all of, if we don't touch any of that, there's not a whole lot we can't really, do very much without kind of touching some of the fundamental, elements that really are going to facilitate these social assets to perform and to do what they're needing them to do. So, and it's also like, how can we meet the client's budget and timeline constraints? Because it's always like, if money was an object and they had like a year, or 6 months, we'd love to do kind of a full strategy and, messaging exercise, put together all the foundational elements, and then, vision boards, what we call, which are kind of like mood boards, but it's like, where does this brand, what's the environment that this brand lives in?
But it's rare that you have those luxuries, I'm sure, to get that kind of time and unlimited budget. It's instead, they came to you with a number in mind, and we just want these marketing assets, and you're telling them, let's take a step back and really think about this. And so continue. I love it.
For sure. Yeah. So, it's obviously like the customer's, always right. Like the client's always right. But that's kind of in a service oriented business. So we want to get them what they need, kind of immediate needs that they have. And if we could have some small wins with clients, then it builds a trust for us to be able to kind of move into some other areas of ways we can help the brand. So we're open to coming in with companies in a myriad of different ways, not just kind of. We have, our starting, engagement rate is X number, and these are the services that we do for you. It's really like, let's craft and tailor a program that gets them what they need. And then are there opportunities along the way where we can demonstrate some capabilities and some additional ways that maybe they aren't thinking about, that we can really kind of come in and provide value. And I think that's value is I think just a really good question to always ask ourselves. Me within Enlisted, you within an MX, Sarah down the street at at an agency or whatever, like asking ourselves, like, how can we individually, add the most value to what we're doing, to the work we're doing.
That's real quick with value. I love that. And as a strategy operations person, I would imagine more about me or a lot of creatives with regards to how to prove that ROI or get some kind of metrics for the client to help them be able to see that value, because obviously there's some intangible things that we can
100%
value to, but do you at Unlisted have ways of turning that into, this is how it affects your bottom line?
We're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there. So it's challenging to quantify design, right? And a lot of times it isn't overnight. It takes time for those building blocks to actually see results. So we were recently acquired about 2 years ago or so by pattern.com.
Oh, sure.
And they're a global e-commerce accelerator. It was founded by Dave Wright and Melanie Alder, who, Dave is a data scientist, like through and through. And so when, he and our founder, Bo Euler, started talking, it was like, completely left brain and completely right brain. But it's been a beautiful, coming together kind of marriage of us learning from them learning from us, and how can we use data and data science and design thinking to create, craveable brands and brands that consumers, adopt into their lives and want to be advocates for. So it is a work in progress, and we're trying to, I think, capture more examples and case studies of how that actually, translates into ROI and ROAS and metrics like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. And so you touched on some of the awesome brands you've been able to work with at Enlisted, and prior to that at AdLab. Now, what would you tell the younger version of yourself? Like if we were to go back 15 years and someone is watching this podcast or listening to it, and they're like, "Yeah, no, that's what I want to do." Do you have advice for someone in that position?
So, so there's this quote that I had written down a couple of years ago. I think I heard it on how I built this podcast with Guy Raz. Yeah. But he was interviewing the founder of Method cleaning supplies. That totally took Clorox, threw a curveball Clorox and just took that category, an unloved category, a great example of an unloved category, of coming in with design, with new shape, and a new positioning for that. But he said, you don't need to figure out what you need to do in life. You just need to figure out what you want to do next. And I thought that was a really interesting thing. I don't even know Andrew Garlock. I don't even know what I'm going to be when I grow up. I'm still I'm still asking myself that question. I think when we were, kids, it's astronaut, doctor, but today, and just in the last, 10 years, there are occupations that didn't exist before that. Tomorrow there will be new occupations that didn't exist today. And so I think just soaking up everything you can and try a bunch of different stuff. There's so many courses through YouTube and free available to to pretty much, everyone, or free trials that you can do to just, get your hands working in, Adobe programs, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, building your own website, even if it's just something that you're interested in doing, like a hobby, something that could be completely unrelated to maybe what you're studying or what you're looking to do, but just an outlet. Like build a website about it, write about it, document, some of that, and then podcasts, a great way. Podcasts like Creator Diet, of course, and for me, I really enjoy documentaries, especially that revolve around design, like Objectified, Helvetica, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Sure,
Abstract is a great docuseries on Netflix. And it just, you can kind of see what are the, various ways of this word design and ways to like loosely or very connected, be a part of it. And they're just, it's just a really exciting thing. So those are some of the, those are some of the resources and I think, some advice that I might provide.
Yeah, no, I love it. And that's obviously great advice for, those that are younger and trying to figure out what to do next, but it's also good advice for older people like us that, like you said, you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. So do you have any of those little creative hobbies on the side that maybe don't necessarily have to do with what you're doing from 9 to 5? Do you have little outlets like that?
So there's one that my wife and I started, I don't know, probably 5 years ago or so. At the time I was working at Vivint Smart Home. Okay. And then in creative operations, media production, and we were doing a ton of photo shoots, video shoots, because every year we're coming out with new devices, new hardware products. Yeah. And we needed to capture them in the home with people using them. And so we were always looking for locations, film locations, and unique, different, contextual environments. Like, we've done kind of the brown stucco thing. We need mid-century, or, we need kind of cottage bungalow arts and crafts, architecture style. And what is the right, what's the right type of talent to put in this scene and such. So we're constantly just kind of looking for fresh locations to book and shoot at. And we ended up filming several things at our home, and figured, maybe we could kind of fill a need here in Utah, kind of the Mountain West area. And so we spun up Dual Space. It's called Dual Space. Our website's dualspace.co. Yeah. And we have about 50 or so locations, a lot of homes, some studios, some workplaces, but it's kind of a way, Airbnb for shoot locations, basically.
Love it.
Where you can go on, you can take a look at different locations, you can see rates right there, and then request to, see if they're available for shoots. And there are other services like this that are primarily in kind of larger markets like Los Angeles and Austin, Texas, and Seattle and such. But there really wasn't at the time anything here in Utah that provided that need. I mean, there was the Utah Film Commission that had some locations, but it was a very clunky, process to actually contact the homeowner and coordinate that. So we are hopefully trying to make that process a little bit easier. And like, want to give a shout out to my wife Elise, who basically like runs all of the day-to-day, like all of the customer service and finance side of the business, while juggling our 4 kids. So it's finally last year, we finally made some revenue, and so it takes time, but it's something that is kind of a fun little outlet that we enjoy doing. And she's an interior designer, and so it's kind of a nice a way to kind of tie that in, and so kind of fun.
No, that's cool. I'm pretty sure I've heard of Dual Space. The video team here at MX, unfortunately with layoffs isn't what it used to be, but we would run across that problem where to shoot, and pretty sure that name came up. That is so cool, and I can imagine how you can take your skill sets, the skill sets of your wife, and just kind of geek out about like what levers can we pull to maybe get some more traction to the site, or what are the different events coming up that we can be at, or whatever. So that's super cool. I'm glad that we found a way to fit that in, and I didn't even know that was something.
I was like, too bad I wasn't like, you know what? Yeah, I haven't had time. Or because that's usually what it comes down to, is like, no time for that thing. But I think if everyone's passionate about something, and so just finding a way to kind of turn that into. Is there an opportunity for this to become maybe a money-making thing, or just, and maybe it's not, maybe it's a nonprofit endeavor, or just documenting whatever. But I think just kind of doing it and letting kind of insight and inspiration find its way to see what makes sense to do next. You
never know how that might pay off one way or the other. Little side hustles like that, and if they happen to align with your passions and your hobbies, even better, because it may not turn into making you a multimillionaire overnight or whatever, but it may help inform what you do on your day job, or create introductions to your next gig. And I know
absolutely,
someone who interviews people for positions all the time, hearing about the fact that they use their talents, their passions on the side, just tells volumes about a person, and quickly helps elevate them on the list of applicants.
I bet. That's
cool.
Great.
So we're at 30 minutes at this point, and it's been an amazing conversation. Love to potentially do this with you again sometime, and if not on the podcast, at least catch lunch at some point.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Let's do it for sure. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew. Final thing here is if someone wants to reach out to you, just kind of a follow up to what you have talked about here, is there a social media platform where you're most active or anything?
Probably LinkedIn. Probably the best way.
That makes sense.
So
Andrew Garlock at LinkedIn, and that's how they connect. Okay, thanks again for your time, Andrew. It was a pleasure for sure.
Thanks so much, Ike.
We'll see you.
Take care.
So there you have it. Another awesome episode. I thought it was super enlightening to hear what Andrew had to say about brand building and strategy in general. Now remember, if you want to reach out to him, it's Andrew Garlock on LinkedIn. and tell them that you enjoyed watching them on the little program, Create or Die. So until next time, my friends, just keep on creating. Create or die.